Welcome to my channel, Mischief here, and today I am thrilled to bring you another guide built for honkaistarrail. Jiaoqiu has been buzzing in the community ever since his beta reveal. He's already managed to stand out and thrive despite his circumstances. So, how does he really perform? Who does he work best with? Or does he even work at all? If you haven't already, and I know a lot of you haven't, please like, subscribe, and share. Let's get started. Jiaoqiu is a powerhouse when it comes to debuffing and boosting his team's damage. His Ashen Roast debuff really makes a difference, ramping up your team's damage while he dishes out solid hits himself. His basic attack is straightforward, a single target strike with nothing extra, but where Jiaoqiu shines is with his skill. It deals fire damage to 3 enemies, hitting the middle one the hardest, and guarantees a stack of Ashen Roast. With his talent, he can even apply 2 stacks of Ashen Roast with this skill. His ultimate is where things get really exciting. It sets all enemies' Ashen Roast stacks to the highest number currently on the field, then creates a damage dealing field. This field makes enemies 15% more vulnerable to ultimate damage and gives them a 60% chance to receive Ashen Boost on their turn, up to 6 times. The field lasts for 3 turns and disappears if Jiaoqiu is defeated. Jiaoqiu's talent is crucial to his effectiveness. It ensures his basic attack, skill, and ultimate each apply a stack of Ashen Roast, up to 5 stacks. The first attack boosts enemy vulnerability by 15%, and each additional stack adds another 5% vulnerability. Enemies with Ashen Roast also take damage over time based on Jiaoqiu's attack power. His technique sets up a special dimension that lasts 15 seconds at the start of the battle. Enemies inside take damage from Jiaoqiu and have a 100% chance to get Ashen Roast. Jiaoqiu's Ascension 2 trace is handy too, as it gives him 15 energy right at the start, letting him use his ultimate after just 1 skill. Ascension 4 trace boosts Jiaoqiu's attack based on his effect rate. For every 15% above an 80% effect hit rate, he gets a 60% attack boost, up to a maximum of 140% attack at a 140 effect hit rate. This can push his attack power way up, potentially hitting over 5,000 on its own. Finally, his Ascension 6 trace enhances his ultimate field. When this field is active, any new enemies entering the fight will get Ashen Roast, with the number of stacks matching the highest currently in play. At the very least, they'll get 1 stack. This trace is especially useful against enemies that cycle in and out, like swarm type enemies, but it may not always have a big impact in other situations. When upgrading Jiaoqiu, keep it straightforward. His key strength is in his ability to generate Ashen Roast stacks, which are vital for his debuffs and damage boosts. His damage over time effects also play a big role in his overall output, and both of these are heavily influenced by his talent. Therefore, you should start by leveling up his talent to 10, as it's essential for his performance. After you've maxed out his talent, the next focus should be on upgrading his ultimate. Once his ultimate is up to speed, you can then work on leveling his skill and basic attack together. Following this approach will optimize Jiaoqiu's effectiveness and overall impact in battles. Jiaoqiu's rotations are quite straightforward. Begin by using a skill to start the battle, then unleash his ultimate. After that, cycle back to his skill and follow it up with a basic attack. If you find that you need to use his ultimate and his energy is below 77, use his skill to build up his energy. If his energy is already sufficient, stick to basic attacks to keep generating more SP. This sequence ensures that you're making the most of his abilities and maintaining strong performance in battles. Jiaoqiu's Eidolons are highly impactful, offering several valuable upgrades. His first Eidolon provides a 40% damage boost to allies attacking enemies affected by Ashen Roast. This bonus functions as an extra debuff on the enemy rather than a direct buff to your team. Additionally, every time Jiaoqiu's talent applies Ashen Roast, it also adds an extra stack. This can raise your team's damage by between 11% and 25%. Although the additional Ashen Roast stack and debuff have their greatest effect in the first turn, the damage boost remains a significant advantage, making this Eidolon his second best. The second Eidolon greatly enhances Jiaoqiu's damage over time effects, increasing his scaling from 180% to 480% of his attack. This effectively doubles his personal damage output output, allowing him to excel as both the DPS and the damage booster for the team. His E3 Eidolon upgrades the levels of his basic attack and skill by 1 and 2 respectively. While this does increase his personal damage by about 1%, it doesn't have a major impact in high-end content. Jiaoqiu's E4 Eidolon lowers enemy attack by 15% when his field is active. This addition to his debuff arsenal reduces the damage your team takes, even though Jiaoqiu already has many debuffs in his kit. This attack reduction can be useful for certain supports, helping them manage SP better or sustain even longer. However, this benefit is just more situational. The E5 Eidolon raises the levels of Jiaoqiu's talent and ultimate by 2 each, boosting his damage over time scaling from 480 to 498%, increasing overall vulnerability from 35% to 38.5%, and enhancing ultimate vulnerability from 15% to 16%. This upgrade results in a roughly 6% increase in personal damage and a slight boost to team damage, making it a solid improvement. Jiaoqiu's E6 Eidolon is exceptionally powerful. It increases the maximum number of Ashen Rose stacks by 4, raising overall damage vulnerability from 38.5 to 60.5%. Each Ashen Rose stack also lowers enemy resistances by 3% up to a total of 27%. This resistance reduction acts as a significant additional damage multiplier, boosting the team's damage output by around 35 to 50%. E6 is Jiaoqiu's most valuable Eidolon, delivering massive value and solidifying his place as a top tier character. His first Eidolon rivals top tier options like Robin's E1 and Runmay's E1. The second Eidolon significantly boosts his damage, particularly in damage over time setups. Meanwhile, the E6 Eidolon offers a tremendous damage increase for the entire team. If you're considering pulling for Jiaoqiu, aim for E1 if you want strong support value, E2 for damage over time setups, or E6 for the ultimate damage boost. When it comes to relics for Jiaoqiu, the optimal setup largely depends on your team comp, but a reliable choice is to use a 2-piece messenger set for a 6% speed boost and a 2-piece pioneer diver set for a 12% damage bonus against debuffed enemies. This combination is highly effective, helping Jiaoqiu meet his speed requirements and enhancing his overall damage. It's so versatile that it often outperforms other setups, including the full 4-piece pioneer set, which offers only a minor damage increase compared to his 2-piece combination. However, there's an exception with the 4-piece prisoner in deep confinement set. This set is particularly powerful when paired with other damage over time units, such as Black Swan or KAFKA, who can either apply or detonate multiple dots. If you're not focusing on dots, other relic sets may be better. In such cases, the 2-piece messenger plus 2-piece pioneer set or full sets like Pioneer, Musketeer or Firesmith can be strong alternatives. Generally, the messenger and pioneer combination is preferred for its balanced performance. For planar ornament sets, Pan Cosmic is Jiaoqiu's best choice, providing a 10% boost to effect hit rate. If you're not using a Lightcone that increases effect hit rate, this 2-piece set is essential to reach the necessary cap. Pan Cosmic is also highly effective for DPS roles, thanks to the extra attack percentage and flexibility it offers, making it a top choice for maximizing damage. If you want to increase Jiaoqiu's damage further, the Firmament Frontline Gloss set can boost damage up to 3.5%. Achieving the 134 speed threshold with this set makes it about 1.7 more effective than Pan Cosmic, and reaching the 160 speed threshold. Could make it about 3.5 times better. While this increase isn't huge, Firmament is easier to farm than Pan Cosmic. For pure support roles, Fleet of Ageless is another option, especially if your team benefits from attack scaling, though it may result in a slight personal damage loss when compared to Pan Cosmic. For main stats, aim for effect hit rate on the body piece, speed for the boots, fire damage on the orb, and energy regeneration on the rope. If you have ample effect hit rate already, you can consider swapping it for attack, though this is less common. Jiaoqiu is most effective as a sub DPS buffer, so prioritize reaching 140% effect hit rate first. Going beyond this is challenging without his signature Lightcone, and there's no need to exceed 170% since he will apply his Ashen Rose stacks consistently at that point. Once you hit the effect hit rate cap, focus on increasing speed, aiming for at least 134, target 147 speed. For the best damage output, target 147 speed. Though reaching 161 speed can be difficult and may not always be worth the trade-off with other important stats. If you're using his signature Lightcone, you can allocate more points to other stats once you hit the effect hit rate cap. Prioritize attack, with speed and crit rate being important for damage, and HP, effect resistance, and defense being valuable for survivability. top Lightcone is Those Many Springs. It offers a fantastic 60% boost to effect hit rate, making it much easier for him to hit this cap. Plus, it applies a 24% vulnerability debuff that lasts for 2 turns and affects multiple enemies. This cone significantly boosts your entire team's damage by about 24%, which is huge, especially for teams that rely on dots. Even though it's slightly less impactful for characters who already have vulnerability debuffs like Luca, Guinaifen, and Jiaoqiu himself, it's still extremely powerful and provides substantial buffs to the team. Another excellent choice is Incessant Rain. This light cone grants 24% effect hit rate and a 12% vulnerability debuff that targets a single enemy for 1 turn. It also adds a 12% crit rate boost. While it doesn't quite match Those Many Springs in terms of team-wide damage, it is still a strong option for increasing damage and get single targets and boosting Jiaoqiu's personal damage. Resolution Shines with Pearl of Sweat is another great pick due to its 16% defense shred, which can be quite useful. However, it lacks effect hit rate, which makes it tricky to build for Jiaoqiu. Despite this, it can be very effective when Jiaoqiu's personal damage isn't the main focus. If you're looking to maximize Jiaoqiu's personal damage, Goodnight Sleep Well is a top choice. It offers a huge 72% damage boost, making it a leading option for enhancing Jiaoqiu's damage output. It's so effective that it can even rival or surpass Resolution Shines with Pearls of Sweat in terms of team damage. For those who want something easier to manage without heavily investing in effect hit rate, Eyes of Prey is a solid option. It provides a 40% effect hit rate and an additional 48% dot damage, which simplifies Jiaoqiu's build and can be quite effective. Before the tutorial mission starts, it's similar to the Eyes of Prey, but a bit less effective. It also offers a 40% effect hit rate but focuses on energy generation if the enemy's defense shred is reduced. This can help Jiaoqiu maintain his SP, though it's best used with a unit that can reduce enemy defense. Finally, Solitary Confining from the Herta shop is worth considering. It boosts break effect and dot damage by 48% for 2 turns. After using an ultimate, it also restores 6 energy if an enemy with Jiaoqiu's dot is defeated. Given Jiaoqiu's ability to apply dots to enemies as they enter battle, this light cone can be incredibly powerful in modes like Pure Fiction. It allows Jiaoqiu to replenish his energy quickly, making it possible for him to use his ultimate more frequently and stay SP positive, sometimes even outperforming his signature light cone in specific scenarios. When it comes to team synergies, Jiaoqiu really excels in supporting characters that focus on debuffs and dots. His ability to apply debuffs both during and outside of his turn makes him an outstanding choice for pairing with Akron. Jiaoqiu's debuffing skills enhance Akron's capacity to use her ultimates more frequently and boost her damage thanks to his all-type and ultimate vulnerability buffs. His Nihility path further amplifies Akron's effectiveness, creating a powerful synergy between them. KAFKA also benefits greatly from Jiaoqiu's support. His significant vulnerability debuff and consistent dot application make him a strong ally for KAFKA, helping her maximize her damage output. Jiaoqiu's support is so impactful that he ranks alongside top tier options like Runmei and Robin when it comes to supporting KAFKA. Although Jiaoqiu can perform well as a DPS character, his true strength lies in his support role. While he can deal respectable damage when properly buffed, his main value is boosting overall performance of his team. Robin is an excellent partner for Jiaoqiu. She not only boosts and the team's attack and damage percentages, but also provides extra turns, which helps Jiaoqiu generate more energy and SP. This combination makes for a robust and versatile team setup. Runmei is another top tier support who complements Jiaoqiu well. She enables Jiaoqiu to reach a speed of 161 without drawbacks and enhances dot damage with increased damage percentage and resistance penetration. Her ability to extend break times aligns perfectly with Jiaoqiu's skills. In return, Jiaoqiu boosts Runmei's break damage vulnerability, making him a valuable addition to any team focused on breaking enemy defenses. Jiaoqiu is a standout choice for teams built around debuff DPS characters like Akron and Dr. Ratio. With Akron, Jiaoqiu's buffs significantly enhance his performance. He's also a great match for Dr. Ratio, helping him land follow-up attacks and strengthen his debuffs. Robin is a key player in this setup, boosting both Jiaoqiu and Dr. Ratio, while Jiaoqiu's debuffs make Dr. Ratio's attacks even more effective. This synergy creates flexibility in team comps, allowing other characters to fit in seamlessly. Jiaoqiu works well with ultimate DPS characters like Argenti and Yunli. His ability to increase ultimate damage vulnerability pairs nicely with their high damage output. Both Argenti and Yunli benefit from Robin's support, which boosts their damage and provides additional turns. While Jiaoqiu may not have a unique advantage over other options in these setups, he still performs effectively. Jiaoqiu shines in teams that focus on damage over time effects, especially alongside KAFKA. KAFKA can exploit Jiaoqiu's dots and benefit from his substantial damage boost. This combination makes Jiaoqiu an invaluable support character character in these scenarios, offering performance comparable to Runmei. Before we wrap things up, let's clear up a common misconception that I've been hearing. There's been some debate about whether Pela or Jiaoqiu is the better choice for boosting damage, so let's set the record straight. While Pela is known for her defense reduction abilities, Jiaoqiu actually shines with his vulnerability debuff. Vulnerability is a more powerful debuff compared to defense reduction. Essentially, each point of vulnerability boosts damage by about 10% more than an equivalent point of defense reduction. To put this into perspective, Jiaoqiu's 35% vulnerability is more impactful than Pela's 40 to 42% defense reduction. To match Jiaoqiu's 35% vulnerability with defense reduction, you'd need around 45% defense reduction. Plus, unlike defense reduction which caps at 91%, vulnerability keeps being effective beyond that threshold. Jiaoqiu's 35% vulnerability leads to a 35% damage increase, whereas Pela's 42% defense reduction translates to a roughly 21% increase. Even if both characters are equipped with Resolution Lightcone which boosts defense reduction, Jiaoqiu still edges out with about a 40% damage increase compared to Pela's 44%. Pela only surpasses Jiaoqiu in the first 2 turns after using her technique, where her damage increase can reach 48% base, or 69% with resolution. However, this short-term advantage doesn't account for Jiaoqiu's ultimate vulnerability and high attack stats. Considering these factors, Jiaoqiu can boost your team's damage output by up to 25% more than teams featuring Pela. For a more relevant comparison, let's look at Guinaifen. Both Guinaifen and Jiaoqiu focus on fire dots and use vulnerability to enhance damage. While Guinaifen has some strong points, her vulnerability isn't as effective as Jiaoqiu's. Guinaifen's vulnerability stacks only when burning damage is dealt and maxes out at 30.4% at E6, which is about 70% less effective than Jiaoqiu's vulnerability. Additionally, Guinaifen can apply her debuff to a maximum of 3 enemies, whereas Jiaoqiu affects all enemies passively. Without her E6 upgrade, Guinaifen's effectiveness drops significantly, resulting in lower overall damage compared to Jiaoqiu. Even with similar investment levels, Jiaoqiu's personal damage surpasses Guinaifen about 2%, not including Jiaoqiu's stronger debuff. Guinaifen only becomes more effective than Jiaoqiu with her signature Lightcone, but even then, the difference is minimal, only 0.6 to 6.9%. Plus, using Guinaifen means sacrificing some team-wide damage due to a less effective vulnerability. In summary, Jiaoqiu is definitely underrated right now. He's a powerful 5-star character who can significantly boost your team's damage output, often surpassing many other options. He even holds his own against top-tier characters like Runmei in certain scenarios. While he may not be the absolute best, he's a valuable addition to any team focused on debuffs, dots, or ultimate damage. That's all for now on Jiaoqiu. What do you think? Are you planning to use him? What teams do you have in mind? Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's all for today, and as always, stay graced up.